We're living in an era obsessed with overachievement. Billionaires tell us to move fast and break things. Yeah, and guess what? We marketers, we did exactly that. We spent the last 10 years moving fast, breaking things, and now we're stuck fixing all those things. Fixing broken analytics, fixing disconnected MarTech stacks, fixing fractured messaging. Nothing is ever fixed enough or done enough to warrant setting a new standard on which we might then improve. Somewhere along the way, we lost the value of thoughtful, boring processes. It reminds me very much of this comedian Dave Mitchell and his very funny observation about a code that he lives by.
One of the codes I live my life by.
Always a good start.
Is that my appearance should be in no way noteworthy. But then again, not so unnoteworthy as to be in itself noteworthy.
He goes on to use an example of a gray tie that's so bland, so colorless that it actually makes itself noteworthy. It calls itself out. Mitchell's talking about gray ties, of course, but he might as well be talking about today's marketing. You know, I recently got a note from a colleague with a link to an article in Inc. magazine, and the note said, hey, it feels like we're right back here in 2025. So the thing is, Inc. ran an article arguing that content and the disruptive iconoclasts that create big, bold, provocative, disruptive stuff matter more than process does. And to back it up, they quoted Steve Jobs.
People who were great at management process, they just didn't have a clue as to the content. And in my career, I found that the best people, are the ones that really understand the content, and they're a pain in the butt to manage, but you put up with it because they're so great at the content. And that's what makes great products. It's not process, it's content.
You see, Steve goes on to explain in this interview that Apple's engineers said it would take 5 years and cost $300 each to make a new innovative computer mouse. Jobs found a firm that built one in 90 days for $15 each. Now, that's a remarkable achievement, but Jobs is wrong to use that example of implying that process always gets in the way of innovation, as he does later in the interview.
When they start getting bigger, they want to replicate their initial success. And a lot of them think, well, somehow there's some magic in the process of how that success was created. So they start to try to institutionalize process across the company. And before very long, people get very confused that the process...
Okay, yeah, that's cool, but here's the thing. The only reason Jobs knew that there was a breakthrough is because of the standards set by Apple's existing process. The process was the measuring stick. Without it, who's to say what's innovative, what's fast, what's valuable, how fast is fast? And the same goes for marketing. When every team works in their own silo, creating quote-unquote remarkable content without a shared process, well, who gets to decide what remarkable even means? Someone might say, let the data decide, but without a standard process to use as the question or hypothesis, well, the data is useless. Did it fail because the content was bad? Did it fail because no one promoted it? All of the above? Taiichi Ono said it best, with no standard, there can be no improvement. So here's the kicker. As my colleague said in his note to me, this challenge is becoming even more prevalent with the advancement of generative AI as the quote-unquote hyper-performer in the proverbial room. In a recent post on LinkedIn, Marketing AI Institute's Mike Kaput noted that OpenAI has advised people to prompt the new reasoning models in a very particular way. But as Mike notes, many people say that the exact opposite of what OpenAI advises produces superior results. So who's right? Both? Neither? It depends? Yeah, the answer is all of the above. Because we assign meaning to the output, and without a standard, better, best, well, that's just an opinion. The best marketing teams, they build both process and content. They build a system that makes creativity repeatable, scalable, measurable. A great content strategy isn't just about building one-off disruptive genius. It's about building a machine that produces excellence again and again. And excellence can be recognized because there's a standard way of doing things. That's where David Mitchell's code plays so brilliantly. Your process should be in no way noteworthy, but not so unnoteworthy to be in itself noteworthy. A great content process is like excellent plumbing, invisible and adaptable. It should foster improvisation and innovation by allowing for the integration of remarkable exceptions. You want to read more? Check out my full post here. Your business won't create remarkable content every day, but when you do, a great process will help you recognize, repeat, and improve on it. It's your story. Tell it well.